how many beds and bath is the comparables? Because right now I think you guys were going to convert it to a 6-bedroom. Is that right?
Yeah.
And how many beds and bath is it now? 3, 2.5. And you'll convert it to be a 6-bedroom. And how many baths?
3 full.
3 full. Let's look at the numbers. You bought it for 314, 5,000. Property taxes per year, $2,000. Sound right?
3,800.
3,800. And then insurance, 3,500.
3,500 for that. I never done any like accident or anything like that, so I'm not sure about the insurance.
We could leave it like that for now, and then you can. I'll make an introduction to you guys to start looking at some insurance on the exit. So then let's just say, are you guys self-managing, or are you hiring a property manager?
What are you going to do?
I think we can self-manage this one. Yeah.
So we're gonna assume that you're gonna pay yourself as if you were still a property manager, because when you're building a business, I don't want to put 0 on there, because if you put 0 and then when you're ready to hire a property manager as you're building your portfolio, you may not be able to if you don't run your numbers right the first time. Does that make sense? Repair and maintenance, 5%. I mean, I just put repair and maintenance 5%, reserves as well 5%. That's what I've just done to just run my numbers. It's worked out. Utilities, yours is a 6-bed. Utilities might be less, but you guys know your market better than me. In your experience, when you're looking at heat or electrical, internet, do you see that being $600, or do you see that being less?
You tell me, Danny, we know better than anyone.
I think that would be a safe number. I don't think it'll be much less.
Okay. No HOA, right? Okay, and then the other fees, that's usually like cleaning. Like if you pay for a cleaner once a month, and if you pay for like pest control, that's like miscellaneous fees. You might spend an extra $200. Who's your rep again? Yeah, ask Oriana and Ray what the vacancy is there. And so 7%, if it's 7% safe, then use 7. And then your on-pad split, to leave that checked. As of right now, if you didn't even do the refinance, even if you bought this as a DSCR loan, 20% down, your monthly expenses, you see on the right side here, you see the total rents with vacancies, with taxes and insurance and property management and all that stuff. Do you see all that? And then down below, total expenses, NOI, and then you got your principal and interest mortgage. So your total monthly cash flow based on these numbers is $175 a month. This is
6 bedrooms.
on 6 bedrooms, right? So this is why it was really important. I was talking to Danny. Like honestly, my gut when I was talking to him, 6-bedroom at an ARV of 365 as well. My gut was like, man, it's gonna be tough to cash flow. Now, if I didn't show you all like the property management expense, repair reserves, like utilities and all that stuff. If I deleted all that stuff, property management was 0, it would look like you're going to make $1,000 or $1,500. And literally, that's the problem that new investors will find themselves in, is they didn't analyze the deal based off of like a future reality. It was like analyzed off of theoretical numbers. You know what I mean? Like the numbers that would make you feel really good inside.
That's why I wanted to go through this with you, because it looks like this is the proper way to analyze the deal. To take into account everything.
Yep.
Like it was So what needs to change? Like, what are the specs of this property that are making it not as a 0? Like the units, like the doors?
Yeah, so if you take $365,000, you probably want to stay less than $50,000 a door as just like a rule of thumb. So take your 365 and divide by 6, and you're at $60,000 a door. You divide that by 7, and you're at $52,000 a door. You divide that by 8, and you're at $45,000 a door. So the lower you are below 50, the more you're going to cash flow, right? And then you kind of want to sit in a sweet spot. Let's just say we added another room right away. That jumps your number like $800. And now it's like, wow, this is totally doable. So if it was a 7-bed, 3-bath, you're already looking a lot better. And then one of these rooms is probably going to rent for more, because you're going to have a 1-bedroom, 1-bath master, I imagine. So that might rent for $350, $230 for shared. which is still high for shared, by the way. In Atlanta, shared is probably 160 to 180. You don't start hitting the 200s until you're in a private. 230 to 280 is probably more private. So these are good numbers. Like if this is what you're getting in Charlotte.
In your opinion, Fernando, I see like what needs to change now. Some of the bigger factors here, and I'll verify the the rental amount, the averages, and all that with Oriana.
Yeah.
So, like, in your opinion, what is a good cash flow number?
Man. There's a few impacts, right? Like tenure is huge. If you go down to this tenure button or this number, if you turn that tenure into 90 days, right, your pad split, your 10-day fee goes to $7.99 a month. If you go to 180, that drops to $3.99. You go to 365, and you're at $197 per month. So the longer you have tenure, the lower the 10-day pad split average expenses. So tenure is important, right? But let's just say 180, so it's 6 months. So you think that, people are going to turn twice in a year. If you're above 300 grand, then you definitely at least want to be a 7-bed. But you can see even right now, your numbers aren't like...
They're not that good.
They're not in something I'm super stoked on. Yeah, if I'm looking at your numbers and you just have... Maybe you already buy one with 3. If you can add 1 bathroom and now it's like maybe you're doing an 8.4 or an 8.3. If you do an 8.3, that's pretty good. If you go 8.3 on this, 7.
Now, they taking the garages and turning them into bedrooms as well.
Are they taking the garages and turning them into bedrooms? Sometimes, yes. Yeah, sometimes they're doing. Some people are doing unpermitted or permitted garage conversions. I personally would recommend a permitted garage conversion. But you can also find in Charlotte. You should be able to find just houses that have more bedrooms to start with. Like maybe
we need a big house.
Right.
Maybe start looking for bigger houses. Yeah, look for the 5 bedrooms plus to start with that have already 3 or 4 bathrooms. And so it's better. Yeah. So anyways, that's what I would start with. If you build to an 8-bed, your 8-bed numbers look good. So I just modified your numbers right now to be an 8-bed, 3-bath. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's cash flowing over 1,000, which is what. That would be great.
Yeah, and then you can look at your cash on cash. So this is good too for your refinance. So if you look on the refi, so now I'm skipping past the rent after rehab. We're just going to go to the refinance there on the bottom. At the time of refi, your cash on cash jumps up to 17.66%, and your cash flow is at $1,400. And the amount of money you leave in the deal is $96,000. So in this scenario, like this is actually good. 17% cash on cash return, $96 a month, and this is under our conservative numbers, right? Now, of course, you could remove property management, make that 0, and your numbers go up, but that this is conservative. I'm running your numbers with 8% property management fee on top of pad splits fee. So if ever in the future you want to hire somebody, you want to pay somebody a salary, you want to factor some cost in there. Yeah.
And that cash on cash percentage is good when it's over 10%, 12%.
So it's relative to what you currently have access to. So I'll give you a couple examples on how I talk to most of my clients. Like right now, if you did absolutely nothing and you put your money inside of a bank account, you get maybe 4%, high yield saving, right? High yield savings, 3-4%. So that's where you put. That's option 1. Option 2, people are like, well, what if I put in the S&P 500, right, and stocks and all that stuff? Okay, well, over the course of 30 years, you might be at 7 to 10%. So right away, like if you're getting 7 to 10%, like some people are happy with that. In my opinion, people get into co-living to increase that a little bit more. My personal take on it is I like to see cash on cash at the refinance level. So down at the bottom there, I like to see that cash on cash number to be above 14, 15%. That's how I know I've got some cushion in there. That's me. And because I know as well, you're going to have bad months. You're going to have months where you have vacancies, months where you have a big heater expense, just stuff, natural real estate stuff. The thing about real estate is you make money in 4 ways. Cash flow is one. Then you got the debt that gets paid down by the people that live there. That's number 2. Then you've got appreciation, number 3. And then you have tax savings, which is tax depreciation. So the money that you make on this property, the profit, gets offset with a tax depreciation strategy, so you don't have to pay a bunch of taxes on the money. So those are 4 different ways that you make money in real estate, which is why it's nice. Even if you are making only 10% cash on cash, you're still building wealth. That's how I explain it. Make sense? Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and I know that you have 4 properties, I think. You said you had like 32 doors?
Yeah, I got 34 doors across 4 properties. So I got 2 9-beds and 2 8-beds.
So that was kind of shocking to me. Where must be huge houses, or we're looking at the wrong type of houses here.
2,000.
Looking at.
Yeah, I got like 2,000 square feet or more is what I currently have. But I will say that the one thing I would do differently is I would not convert my living room. So knowing what I know now, I probably just would have done like an 8-bed 3 baths and 7-bed 2 baths, and then kept the living room, because I think the future is community living, it's not just rent by the room. Like the model that I initially came into was rent by the room. It didn't really teach you how to keep people in the room for a year. It was like, I thought, because the incentive, so when I first onboarded this 10-day fee thing that PatSplit introduced, that didn't exist when I got all 4 of my properties. So for us, it didn't matter if somebody joined this week and then they left next week and they joined again in 2 months, and then they, you have to pay your flip costs. But ultimately, we wouldn't really get penalized. Now the model's changed. The model's changed because PatSplit will take the first 10 days of any move-in if you don't source the move-in. And so every time there's a churn, your churn isn't just the cost of churning, it's the 10 days that PatSplit takes. The fee.
Yeah.
So
the double
it's a double whammy. You're totally screwed. So you have to figure out, how do you keep people for longer? And I think the way you keep people for longer is you have to create a community and a culture that people want to stay around for. That's the...
You hit a very important topic there, because that was a burning question that Ruben and I have been trying to understand and ask either you or Oriana, somebody, about the common area. Because we didn't want to take away all the common areas and then leave a house where the only space they have is their room. Maybe who's want to stay there for long term if there's no nice common area? And that kind of answers the question. That's why for this house, even though it's a 1,600 square foot house, and we were going to try to convert every room possible, 2-car garage, very spacious, tall ceiling, turn that into the common area.
Yeah.
So that people have a place to go and hang out, and there's a deck in the back.
Yeah.
And make that look kind of nice. So there's 2 common areas now where the people can actually hang out and not feel so cramped in their room.
Yeah. So how you build, it's still evolving, right? This new PatSplit model, I barely switched to it this year, and so we're still in the middle of figuring it out. So to answer your question, if I were to buy a property today, I would keep 1 common area and I would look to build a culture and a community. Like, that's just my answer. But I don't know exactly how to do that, because we're not doing it right now. We were in the model when the goal is to maximize the square footage 100%. So we turned every single piece of square footage into a room. So we don't have a communal area. And I'm talking to my property manager now about what we're going to do to try to turn turn our properties around into turning, becoming co-living communities. It's a work in progress. So I don't have an answer for you, but just hope, does it help a little bit about what I'm sharing just based off of my experience?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely, it's kind of like what you're saying is what I was already kind of thinking. Like if I were to put myself in a renter's shoes, I wouldn't want to be stuck in my room with nowhere else to go in the house. Like I would want a common area that's nice where I can kind of like do stuff, hang out.
Yeah.
Hang out, because
Right. Or else,
one of my roommates.
yeah. Or else, if you didn't have that, then you would look to leave as soon as you could. Because the thought before was people need this out of necessity, but it doesn't mean they like it. And so we built our homes to solve affordable housing, but we didn't build it to solve affordable housing as a long-term solution. Like I built it more as like, I'm going to solve affordable housing, but then the people are like, okay, cool. Thank you for helping me for the 6 to 8 months. And then I'm out, right? Like, I don't like this living situation. Yeah. And so we have to now shift to how do we make this a really enjoyable living situation where they're like, why do I need to leave? Like I get everything I want here.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll increase the tenure date.
Yep. You got it.
And that's going to increase it, make our numbers better.